For many years, I would miserably walk back into my house through my front door after I'd just finished my shift at my shitty 9 till 5 supermarket job. And the first thing I would do would be to forcefully take out my shoes off of my feet. I've just completely murdered that sentence, but I'd basically force my feet out of my shoes without even untying the laces because I just couldn't be bothered, and then I'd just throw my shoes into the cupboard just carelessly without even the thought of where they'd land in the cupboard. Probably one would be upside down, the other one would be like, I don't know, somewhere else in the cupboard so I couldn't find it the next day. I didn't care. And then after that, I'd go straight up to my bedroom where I'd lock myself in my room for 2 hours, where I'd proceed to just take a 10-minute nap, which of course never ended up being 10 minutes because after that nap, well, I'd wake up and 2 hours would have passed and I'd be all anxious and sweaty and my room would be an absolute mess. I wouldn't know where the hell I was. I had my bloody socks at the other end of the room. My phone was on the bloody lampshade on the ceiling. God knows how the hell it got up there, and I'd be absolutely parched. I'd have no water next to me and I'd be dehydrated to fuck, literally to the point where I couldn't breathe. And I'd feel terrible, right? I'd feel terrible about repeating this thing today, which I did yesterday. And the day before that, and the day before that. Only I'd solved the way I was feeling by just going straight onto my phone to play Clash of Clans and raid some bastarding base that attacked me just so I could get my revenge. And then I'd, scroll through pages and pages of Reddit, which, let's be honest here, is an absolute recipe for disaster. Because let's be honest here, having no structure in your life will make you feel like shit. That's just the reality of the game, my friend. If you've got no structure and you're not following any kind of routine where you're doing good habits and stopping the bad habits, it's pretty obvious, bud, you're going to be feeling like shit. And this lifestyle that I was living all of these years ago was making me feel like shit, mate. It's kind of obvious. At the end of the day, you kind of need to form good habits to make you feel good about your life and what you've achieved, right? You have to do that, because when you form good habits and you're able to stick to them, that's when you're able to earn your own self-respect, which is extremely important. So if you tell yourself that you're not going to have a nap after you get home from work, and that you're not going to play Clash of Clans after you get home from work, and that instead you're going to cook yourself a really healthy meal and go to the gym, but you don't do that, that's when you lose self-respect. And that's when all these little losses that you are doing on a consistent basis, which might not seem like that big of a deal, this is what's going to add up and collectively create this kind of feeling and energy where you just feel like shit and you don't trust yourself. You don't feel confident. You don't have any discipline. You have no motivation. That's because every single day you're giving yourself these small losses which are equating to this humongous feeling of just degeneracy. So it comes all down to self-respect. And when you tell yourself that you're going to stick to these good habits, you have to stick to them. So if you tell yourself you're not going to have a nap, just don't have a nap. If you tell yourself that you're going to cook a healthy meal, make sure you cook a healthy meal. And there are loads of other good habits that you should be doing, and there are loads of bad habits that you shouldn't be doing. And, you probably know what they are. Let's start with gratitude checking. And essentially, this is literally such a simple task. And, you can do it every single day. As soon as you wake up in the morning, just go through in your head a list of things that you're grateful for. It can be small things, it can be big things, the things that tend to go unnoticed. What are the small things that tend to go unnoticed? Are you grateful for your bed? Do you ever even consider the fact that you have a bed with, a nice pillow that you can rest your head on, that you have room, you have your own private space, you have your own room that you don't have to share with anybody else? That's your space. Do you take that for granted? Probably. I know I do sometimes, and that's why it's important to do a gratitude check, because the more frequently you get into this habit of regularly checking what you're grateful for, the more positive you're going to feel about your life. And this is what's going to make your life feel sick, right? This is what's going to make you feel incredible. And this is a habit you definitely want to be doing and fit into the structure of your day and to fit into, your kind of routine. You can do it in the morning, you can do it in the afternoon, in the evening. Anytime you feel particularly negative, just take a moment to consider what you have in life to be grateful for. And a really great way to actually do this and implement it into your life properly is by writing everything down on paper. And that's why gratitude journaling is so impressive and has so many amazing effects, because you can visually see what you have to be grateful for. The next thing I would suggest that you stick into your routine and that you pick up as a habit is controlling the amount of data and information and media that you consume. And this doesn't just go, about like social media, Instagram, TikTok. I'm talking about just anything online, really. You could be sitting in the car and the radio could come on, and all of a sudden you're just being blast fed this like bullshit from the news, which is just feeding your brain with negativity. You don't really need to be listening to that. How does that serve you? If you're listening to something, that's going on in a different country and it's negativity, how is that going to serve you? What can that piece of information actually provide for you that's positive? The chances are it's absolutely fuck all. So you just don't need to be listening to that. At the end of the day, your brain is like a sponge and it absorbs every piece of information it comes across. Okay, so you want to be kind of limiting that information that your sponge absorbs to only being positive information. And yeah, if you're consuming shit, the chances are you're going to be consuming negative shit. So get into a habit of, turning the radio off, not listening to the news, not scrolling through Instagram and Facebook to see what gossip is going on the main page. You don't need that information. You really don't. And this is, collectively, these things are what make you feel bad about yourself. This is why your days aren't amazing. It's because you're constantly being fed negativity. So if you actually take action on this and you make it an intention to only absorb positive information, then you're going to feel so much better about yourself. Obviously, this is life, so there are going to be some negative things, but you want to be limiting that as much as you can. It kind of goes without saying. The next thing I'd suggest you do is intermittent fasting. This is a fantastic habit to get in, because when you intermittent fast, you actually get such a boost in energy and your testosterone levels flourish. You're able to focus, you're able to do the work that you need to do. When you eat and you eat a big meal and you tend to feel so sluggish and slow, and that's why you want to have a nap. That's why you want to sleep. It's because you no longer have to work for your food. You no longer have to chase your prey or whatever it is. And that's because you've got food in your stomach. Whereas if you intermittent fast, you are constantly on this kind of like brink of needing to work and stay focused to actually achieve your goal and chase your prey. So that's what intermittent fasting is about. And what you can actually do, and what I'd recommend, is that you intermittent fast for, I'd say, the first 4 or 5 hours of the day. I'd say that this is the sweet spot. I've tried more than 5 hours, and when I do that, I tend to feel actually quite tired. That's not optimum, I've found, for me personally. Obviously, you've got to experiment for yourself, but 4 or 5 hours is the sweet spot, in my opinion. And of course, when you eventually break your fast, you want to be looking at eating food that's actually nutritious and that's actually going to nourish you and allow you to feel incredible. And the best way you can do that is by staying the fuck away, man, from processed foods and refined carbs. You don't want to be going near that stuff. So anything that you see in the supermarket that's been pre-made, that has, hundreds of ingredients in it, you want to be staying away from that stuff, because it's not natural, right? It's not real food. So you're not providing yourself with the best source of nutrition. And the best source of nutrition is stuff that's grown from the trees, that's come from the ground, anything that's made from the earth, plain and simple shit. Fruit, veg, nuts, meat, eggs, fish, salmon, anything like that that's, just raw ingredients is going to provide you with goodness. And the last thing I'd suggest that you pick up as a habit is comprehensive cardio. And essentially, comprehensive cardio is a term that I have kind of sort of invented myself. Obviously, I haven't invented the actual cardio training I'm about to tell you, but that term itself is something that I've actually been implementing into my life, and I find it to be fucking unreal. And it's basically a type of cardio that works all of your body at the same time. So it works your mental fortitude, it works your physical aesthetics, it works your insides, so your respiratory system, your gut health, everything like that. It's comprehensive. It trains everything, so you'll get your best bang for your buck. And essentially, the best type of exercises that you can do, in my opinion, at number one is boxing training, because when you're boxing, you're not thinking about anything else. You're in the present moment, which is amazing for your mindset. You're training your whole body, your fitness levels. You're looking good because you're working all of the aesthetic muscles, and you just feel insane. So that comes in at number one. And for young men, fighting and learning how to fight is literally critical for the development of you as a young man, because you gain so much character when you're in a fight, and and you're getting smacked on the nose. You feel incredible, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but it is true. When you go back home and you can actually lie down, you feel like you've earned that. You feel like you've earned that time to lie down, and it's just so satisfying knowing that you've kind of sacrificed yourself whilst training, and then you've got that reward of maybe being able to lie down and eat something nutritious. And so number one is boxing. Number two could be something like skipping. Number three could be like swimming or rowing, anything like that. All of those exercises are targeting your body as a comprehensive thing. So they're the 4 habits I'd highly suggest you start doing today, or at the very least tomorrow, to make every single day in your life amazing. Trust me, you are not going to regret this. Believe you can, and you're more than halfway there.